Hey, John, I'm back.
Eric, welcome back. Welcome back.
3,000 plus miles and 58 hours in a car. Uh, it was a long road trip. It
That
was,
that is a lot of time to spend sitting in a car.
yes, but it was fun. I got to see a bunch of family and saw a wedding, picked up my daughter from college, brought her home for the summer.
And must have listened to a whole lot of podcasts.
I actually was in the car long enough to listen to more than one episode of ATP.
Nice.
Sorry,
Nice.
inside joke.
Yes, yes.
Pseudo inside joke.
Yeah, no, I'm so far behind that I have to declare podcast bankruptcy every couple of weeks and go look, I don't have that long of a commute these days, so a 2-hour podcast takes me 3 days to get through.
I ran out of podcasts because I was already kind of up to date, so I only had a week's worth of podcasts to listen to, and I ran out.
I don't understand. That doesn't compute. Impossible.
I had to listen to 80s music.
Well, nothing's wrong with that. Well, welcome home. Yeah, good to have you.
Yeah.
Good to have you back and back in the swing. Did you cringe at all when you listened to Peter and I talking?
No, that was one of the podcasts I enjoyed listening to on the road trip. It was good. Despite your love affair with JavaScript, it was. I enjoyed it.
It has won. We haven't not everybody has admitted defeat yet, but that's okay. They will over time. That's funny. So let's see. Is there anything? I have one minor little bit of follow up from last week that we talked a little bit about. Peter and I talked a little bit about, at least the casino that got hacked by the internet connected fish tank.
Right.
And, this week there was a article, and I gotta say the article's in German, so I didn't actually read the article. I didn't even try Google Translate on it, but the image says 1,000 words, which is a ski lift gondola in Austria exposed to the internet, allowing you to start, stop, reverse it, and even configure the steel cable tension.
Oh my goodness.
So how do you like them apples?
Oh, IoT.
Yeah, it's too bad there isn't secure coding, that kind of thing. Anyway, I thought that was the IoT link of the week that I kind of found most cringeworthy.
And you probably didn't have to look too far.
No. It was not alone. I'll tell you that. But what are you gonna do? All right. So shall we get into it? I think we got a couple of things to talk about tonight.
I guess I can start. Being as the last week and a half I spent on the road, I was in hotels about half the nights, staying with family the other half, maybe a little more than half the nights. And yesterday up popped an article from Wired called A 1-minute attack let hackers spoof hotel master keys. Fun article, because while that has always been a curiosity of mine, I think, is hotel keys are just swipe the card if they're using the magnetic strip, or NFC or RFID, just tapping the card. At my hotel in Phoenix, it was a Hilton brand hotel. It offered if you so chose, accept a digital key on your phone in the Hilton app. And when you got, near your door, you could tap a button in the app that said unlock door, and it would, unlock the door after 3 or 4 seconds from the time you pulled the phone out and had it, the app loaded on the little digital key button, and then you tap it to unlock the door.
But that probably wasn't going from your phone to the door, though. That was probably going from the app to their back end, and then they could unlock the doors remotely if you had the appropriate
No, it's actually going to the door. So I was curious about that.
Oh.
And I started to look that up because, well, let me rephrase. I believe it's actually going to the actual door because I had to be within about 4 or 5 feet of the door before the little unlock button would light up. So I couldn't unlock the door unless I was in proximity of the actual door. And so I found the company that builds the doors for the Hilton hotel chain, and stumbled then, of course, across and we can link to both these. The 1 minute hijack. Well, I guess let me talk about the 1 minute hijack first, anyways. So it was some Finnish researchers who have been poking into it since 2003, and that was back when they were even doing the magnetic key card. So they've just kind of over time slowly tried to figure this out and digging into it, and they haven't actually released the or made public the information because the provider of the keys has been working with them to try to figure out how to update them. But essentially, what they have figured out how to do is by finding, stealing, or otherwise acquiring used or expired little plastic cards for rooms, they could take those plastic cards, get a few of them, and take the data off the card, even though it's expired, and eventually extract the master key. And they found a number of tricks. They're not releasing how it was done because it's still, I guess, it requires you to go and actually replace, since these door locks are not actually connected.
They're not internet connected. Right.
Yeah. You have to go and manually update every single lock in every single, hotel in every single room. So anyways, I thought it was an interesting article. We can link to that, just of how that works. In the article, it also references a security researcher had a presentation at Black Hat and published a way to unlock doors at hotels with a specific company's...
A different company's key cards.
A different company's key cards. But he had published that and then published all his source code. And that company is also the one that does these new locks for the Hilton brand hotels that I was talking about and where I was at. However, Hilton. So I went to the website trying to figure out, do they release technical specs? I just wanted to see, is it internet connected? Is it Bluetooth? Because I know your iPhone, it's got to be Bluetooth because you don't have access to NFC on your iPhone.
Well, it wouldn't work from 20 feet away anyway.
So I just could not find any data or information. That's how I stumbled across these other things.
They could have a SID that isn't being broadcast, right? Every lock. Well, and if you're within range to be able to see that particular one, then anyway, I don't know.
So I believe
I could think of a couple ways that you could do that without Bluetooth, but
yeah, I believe it is Bluetooth. When I was trying to dig around, because Bluetooth had to be on. And Bluetooth, you could be within, Bluetooth allows you to check your range, your distance from the beacon.
Right.
So it's almost like, I'm guessing here a little bit, they have little beacons now inside these locks because you had to be within probably 4 to 5 feet, I think was as far away as I could be. And then you hit the unlock, and I'm sure it just transmits a keycard code the same way that a magnetic strip or tapping with an NFC enabled card would,
right?
And unlocks the door. Also kind of cool because I could do that to the outside door. So we would park on the side of the hotel and go through that door, and it even worked down at the outside door.
Nice.
So it was enabled on more than just my room. But I could only have one digital key. and it only worked on one phone. So my wife and my kids all had to carry around little plastic key cards. So,
well,
and I guess the other thing that I saw there was Hilton has these deployed. I'll have to find the exact numbers. But for the last 3 years, they've been slow rolling and deploying these and picked up steam in just the last year or so. And out of the, I don't know how many hundreds of thousands, they have yet to have a security breach. I think that was actually I'll find that one, when I found the company that did it for Hilton, they had a press release. And I think in that press release, it said how many successful unlocks without a security breach, which to me is that's just an invitation to
but I'm sure that's a big number if across the large part of the Hilton estate at least.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyways, so
that is interesting, and very relevant. I think last conference we were in Vegas, I think that Mickey and Jesse had a key card reader down there and were voluntarily, reading people's key cards if you wanted them to and if you trusted them, which you shouldn't. Okay, so I've got I think I've only really got probably one thing here, but and this wasn't like a very timely thing. I think this actually happened last week, but I didn't have enough time to talk about it with Peter. But it's a thing called Oblivious DNS.
Oblivious DNS.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we talked a couple of episodes ago about how, nothing you do on the internet is private. And there was a hack of some weblogs from typo squatting websites, and some of the things that they were mistyping were not pleasant, but we talked a little bit about DNS and how
Cloudflare's 4.1's privacy-based DNS.
Cloudflare came out with their privacy-based DNS, but I mean, you're trusting Cloudflare in that case, which they're a reputable company and looking good, but the Oblivious DNS is aiming to solve the anonymity problem with DNS. The fact that, anyone in the chain with traditional DNS knows what it is that you're requesting and who you are. And this basically, they are able to leverage DNS almost entirely without change. There is one addition of what they called I gotta look down here again. What they call a ODNS stub server, and this is basically kind of hacking DNS and embedding some extra data in the DNS request. But they basically, you're trying to request some website, Google.com, find out what its IP address is, but instead of going straight to DNS and saying, hey, what's google.com? It goes to this, inserted server called the stub server. And it basically encrypts your request with a session key and then turns around, appends a ODNS to the request. And I presume that the request does not actually go to www.google.com.odns. No, they're probably, presumably encrypting and making the host name .odns the encrypted, or a chunk of the encrypted data, right? So this is used for exfiltration in some cases of data outside of corporate environments, right? You can tunnel and exfiltrate data over port 53 by sending requests to bizarre host names, but where the quote-unquote bizarreness comes because you're actually embedding data into the host name that you're trying to request. Anyway, so the data.odns goes to the ODNS authoritative server, which is somewhere, and then that is kind of a special DNS server in that it knows how to take those ODNS requests, unencrypt them, find out who what is actually being asked for. But since your IP is not in there anymore, it's the stub server that's actually making the request. the ODNS server doesn't know who you are, and then they can turn around and forward that request to the regular DNS system, get the results, and basically tunnel it back. So it's a way of sort of building I don't want to say obfuscations. That implies that it's not or it's merely masking, but it's a way of building anonymity on top of the existing DNS infrastructure. I thought this was at least an interesting idea of ways to extend existing infrastructure. Whenever you're looking for ways to extend existing infrastructure, if you can figure out a way that it is a pure extension instead of a requires rip and replacement, you have a far greater chance of success. Not a perfect chance of success, but at least a non 0.000000 repeat chances of success.
So this would not have solved the hijack of some Amazon routes. You saw the article, and it's been a while since we've mentioned cryptocurrency, so I hesitate to bring it up.
Oh, you can. Yes, we can definitely transition. We can definitely transition into that one next. Absolutely, that was another interesting article. Go ahead. Set it up.
Yeah. So that one was an attacker used modified BGP, the Border Gateway Protocol, which is not.
They had to hack into an ISP.
Yeah, or they were the ISP, or a malicious actor somewhere in an ISP, because that's not a thing that normal people protocol. Have access to, right? That's the wrong word. The average person, the average attacker, they can attack websites, they can do those things. If you want to attack BGP, you have to have a different kind of or a different level, a little bit more knowledge of how things work than. No,
you have to do that from inside the ISP, to the best of my knowledge.
Apparently, an attacker used that BGP which basically tells you who owns what IP addresses and where to send them. So DNS converts the name to the IP address, and then BGP tells you where to go to find that IP address. Is that a fair, easy way to explain that?
I think it's sufficient. Yeah.
So basically, they took some of Amazon's Route 53 service, which happened to also be routing a very popular cryptocurrency website called myetherwallet.com. And the traffic got redirected to a server host in Russia. And anyone who went to myetherwallet.com.
So it was actually they hacked BGP to send DNS traffic that was destined for the Route 53 servers to their own DNS server. So they had to hack both the BGP, the Border Gateway Protocol, and the DNS in order to, so some number of people who were resolving addresses to, my Ether wallet, were trying to get that resolution through those particular, or that particular ISP, which wound up directing the DNS request to the malicious DNS server, which will have returned like you said, the IP address of the fake Russian. In this case, it was a Russian site, and at that point, it's on the user to notice the certificate or not. I mean, it's not like they couldn't have faked that with a Let's Encrypt certificate. To be honest.
Yeah. So yet again, and I don't know. They didn't get a whole lot of money out of this one. So, but
yeah, I mean,
I guess just another.
In this case, they would have gotten the money because the users who went to that site over that period of time, and I didn't notice here how long it was on, would have had to, bypass noticing that the site had an invalid SSL certificate, but still gone ahead and typed in their credentials there, probably redirecting them to an error page. I'm sorry, this site is not, we're encountering technical difficulties or something, where by technical difficulties, they mean quickly taking that username and password, turning around and hitting the real site and, sending the Ethereum to their wallet.
Yeah. Well, I guess just another reminder that the internet as infrastructure is very fragile.
Yeah. I mean, in this particular case, it's hard for me to imagine that it couldn't be tracked down to some particular actors, because the ISP that was hosting the DNS server in Chicago should know very well whose infrastructure, I think this was just like a colo facility or something like that, but they should be able to tell whose infrastructure that is. At that point, I would hope that there would be, sort of, let's say, extra internet enforcement capabilities.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so net was about 150 grand worth of Ethereum.
Yeah, Ether.
Ether. Excuse me.
Yes.
Let me get my cryptocurrency reference correct.
Jump to something fun.
What's your something fun?
All right, so I have to give a plug, as I had my big long road trip. I have not been to the Grand Canyon. I lived in northern Arizona until I was 8 years old. So it has been years since I had been to the Grand Canyon. I don't even really remember it. I have glimpses and whatnot. So my something fun this week was I actually was able to go to the Grand Canyon as part of my big loop-de-loop road trip here. And I stayed overnight and took a bus out to one edge, watched sunset. There's a really cool trail that you can hike from. I was on the south rim. The north rim is still closed for winter, but on the south rim, and this is 7,000 plus feet up.
Wow.
The north rim, I think, is 8,000 plus feet up. That's why I think it's still closed for another couple weeks. But in the south rim, there was this cool trail from the Grand Canyon Village, where kind of like the hotel lodges and kind of campsites that you can walk. Is about 2 miles up to the visitor center and kind of the big Grand Canyon Lodge and main entrance area, main parking lot and everything. And along that 2 mile trail, they had, I wish I could remember the name of it now, it's going to drive me nuts. It was a walk through time. And so they would have a rock, and they would show, and you could look. They had a sample of the rock on this pedestal, and it would show you how many million years old the rock was, and then it would tell you where it came from out in the Grand Canyon. That you're staring on the edge of the rim, looking out, and they would show it to you. And then every yard or 3 feet or so, they would have a little point on the ground as you walked, and then that represented 10 million years. And so you just kind of go. You'd start from the village way back in time, and by the time you got to the Grand Canyon, it was, modern time. But then they would show different types of rocks the whole way through. And, 150 million years ago, this was the rock, and you could actually see it and touch it, and then look out at the Grand Canyon and see where in the Grand Canyon
strata,
strata, thank you, it was. So I thought that was really kind of cool.
That's awesome.
And so I'll stick a link to the National Park Service Grand Canyon thing, because I wouldn't bother posting. I mean, I took pictures, but much better pictures on the National Park Service website if you want to look at the Grand Canyon. I'm sure everyone has heard of or seen pictures of the Grand Canyon at some point. But if you ever get a chance to go there, it was just as amazing in person as you would think it would be.
That's nice. Yeah, I was there in 1997, I think, about that time. So about 20 years ago. Shirley and I did a road trip down to Arizona to see some friends, and we went to the Grand Canyon. It was amazing. I would love to go again, though.
Did you go to North Rim or South Rim?
South. Just
South Rim.
South.
Okay.
Yep. All right. I've got kind of a weird something fun this week. I don't know. At least we'll see how it works out. If you can cut all of this, if it doesn't work out. But last weekend, while you were at a wedding or whatever it was you were doing down there, I decided to install a garage door opener because I did not have a garage door opener in. Well, I had one, but it didn't work, and I kind of Googled about a bit, tried to see if I could, maybe I could fix it, because I'm willing to like tear something apart if I think it's doable. But basically, I quickly got into it's probably a bad capacitor, and here's how you test it, and you should. Anyway, I was like, it appeared from the model number once I kind of got a ladder up there and looked at it. It appeared to have been installed in '92. Which, it's 26 years ago. I figured, all right, time for a new garage door opener. And so I'm like, I've never installed a garage door opener, but how hard can it be?
Famous last words.
Famous last words. Well, so two things. First, the one thing that I did not realize, but when you replace a garage door opener, you have to actually replace the whole rail too, like the thing that the chain or belt or, I guess there are some screw drives too. I guess I'd never thought about that. And the garage door opener folks are tricky, and they sucker you in by making you buy the garage door opener and then saying, oh, but if you have a normal height garage door, you need the extension kit. So, I don't know. It came with
Which
a seven. Oh no, it was all apart on the floor before I realized. Of course, and it is exceptionally expensive. It was basically $50 for the extension kit that was one metal rod and a completely new belt. Anyway, I maybe 7-foot garage doors are more common than I realize, but as I look around, I don't see 7-foot garage doors. All I see are 8-foot garage doors. Anyway, net. Why is this my something fun? I was thinking, as I was trying to put this together, how happy and thrilled I am to work in software where unit testing is a thing, and as you go, you can verify at every step, absent inspection and prayer and like crossing fingers, that things work. So my something fun this week is unit testing, and software is awesome. And
that works.
Write some unit tests.
Yeah.
My garage door opener is as per normal with a John project, capital J, capital P. It's about 90% done. Because the final thing was the sensors that go on both sides of the door, so that it, safety prevent things from getting squished or whatever. I just wired straight up from the doors to the opener to make sure that they work and like everything's working. And so now I have to actually, you can't park a car if you're going to drive on top of the sensor wire. So I have to run those wires up the wall and somehow up the ceiling, but it's got like a 20-foot ceiling in the garage. So I'm not quite sure how to make it from the garage to the garage door opener.
I bet you I might have extra wire if you need it. I bought a spool at one point.
Don't worry. I got wire, but I got wire coming out my ears.
All right. Well, have a good night, John.
All right. Sounds good, Eric. Welcome back.
Yep. We'll see you.
Bye.
Bye.